Okay, guys, what's up? It's Lord Lud here, back with another tier list. I know it's been a while since I've done anything YouTube related. Um, can't really say much, but I'll do things on my own time. And let's get into this. There was a very big revamp heading into season 3.5, I guess is what they're calling it. Lots of buffs, lots of changes, lots of nerfs. And I'm going to tell you what I think. This is all opinion. This is not facts. You do not have to follow this. You can disagree. Go ahead and share with me what you want to do in the comments. Doesn't matter. So let's start off with Agni. He is still A. He will always be A. That's basically all I can say. Agni, not the best, not the worst, pretty balanced. AMC, gonna go to B, good lane clear. The only reason he suffers is because, well, he doesn't have an escape. If you find a relatively safe Guardian, maybe Capri, he could work, but for now he's going to stay in B. Pwash going to go up to B+, I think. Healer's getting a big buff, weakening getting a nerf. Kind of puts Pwash in the meta. Still does well with burst. Doesn't have an escape, that really hurts him. On her, A+. A plus, A plus. With the removal of Golden Bow, clear hunters have become relatively important, and Anhur is one of the few gods you can really flex with trans and or Death's Toll, or whatever hunter build is going on these days. Those are kind of the only two I really pay attention to. Anhur, A plus, decent clear, decent escape, kind of falls off late. Amma will also be A plus A. I'm gonna put her in A. Relatively balanced. Has a weak early game, really good late game. If you go against Guan Yu, she kind of goes up to like A plus, maybe S. But yeah, Amma's there. Anubis, first guy to get one of the really big buffs of the patch. Lots of quality of life changes, and with his Mummify, and his ult was kind of doubled in size. So I'm going to put him in B. He's not a C god. Still suffers from what he did before, but if you can find a way to make him work, he's going to be good. Alquang, S+, pretty easy. This god is still tremendously strong. The 30% executed all ranks really makes him hard to counter early, and he still does a lot of burst damage while being relatively safe. On to Afro. This is a god that I'm really happy they kind of buffed. She needed it. She was maybe B plus before. She's definitely A. And I know what you're thinking, like, oh my god, where are we going to play Afro? Well, you're going to play Afro in mid. The extra protection she gains but really does help her get through the early game, really helps her deal with some of the ganking potential. Also, you can have the soulmate in mid with your jungler. She can possibly go into a support role. I wouldn't recommend it. Being a main support, I really wouldn't recommend it, but it's possible. You just need to be a bit more careful in the support than you would be with mid. Apollo also gonna drop. He's gonna drop a bit. He's gonna go to A+. Removal of Golden Bow hurts him. Still not a bad god. Still has great split push. Still has great late game. Apollo. Arachne was also one of those gods to see a buff. She's gonna be at A. The web thingy, dash thingy, kinda makes her better. It gives her a decent escape if she needs it. Not counting her ult, it gives her good initiate. Gives her good poke as well. It was a good buff, but it's gonna keep her at A. Ares also gonna be A. Damage support, great. Lane clear, poop. Late game, meh. Beads are still a thing. Artemis is gonna drop from A to maybe B, I think. Yeah, I'm thinking B for Art. Without Golden Bow, she's kind of back to the way she was before. Pretty trash. Tusky's still useful. Late game, she's still going to be useful. She's going to be the same as AMC. Actually, I'm going to give her B+. She is slightly better than AMC. I mean, she's not really trash, is she? Oh well, ignore me for part of this. Yeah, B plus. Still struggles in lane. Athena gonna go to. I don't know. Do I want her in S or S plus? I'm gonna keep her in S plus for now. We may adjust it later. Ult really strong. Taunt is still super strong. Still good damage. Still good brave clear. Yeah, Athena is probably still S plus. A Wheelish gonna go to A plus. Knockups are really good against gods. Yeah, okay. Knockups are really. Her knockups are good. Her damage is good. Does well late. Does decent late game. Really good early game. Kind of like her Langchen. You don't want to be caught in a 1v1 against her. If you have a jump, you're kind of screwed. Bacchus will also go to A plus. Damage supports with high CC. Pretty good right now. Bacchus, no exception. With Hog coming back in the meta, or Wrath, I guess in this case. In my opinion, for supports, it's almost a necessity. It's really good right now. That's why Athena can use it properly with her dash. Wrath at steal. Bacchus was the king of this in Season 1 and early Season 2. I think the buff of Wrath will indirectly buff him and put him into an A+ tier where he can be used. Baka will be B+. God kind of fell out of viability again. I don't know why. Just the way the items changed. Not the greatest solo laner without Golden Bow. Jungler, he still kind of struggles. Yeah, B+. Bastet, I think, to me, is B+. She might be A. But is kind of hovering between that B+ and balance. Just late game, her ultimate's relatively useless. Unless you're split pushing. That's all Bastet's going to be good for late game. Early game, you can definitely kill someone, you can get fed. But eventually you're going to get caught up on it and just kind of drop. It's good for early objectives now, but with Wrath coming in, it's not the greatest. Bologna, gonna be S. Scott is still fairly strong. Ult is good. Solo, she can still solo. Can still kind of jungle, but mostly restricted to the solo. Damage, CC's good. Pretty tanky. Now Cabrakan. This is an interesting case because I personally don't like Cabrakan. I don't like to use him, but he kind of fits in 3 roles now. He fits in support, solo, and jungle. Support is a meh. Jungle is good. Solo is a decent. So for that, I'm giving it an A+. Until I see anything different, until I see if there is a good counter to this, he still destroys early game, and for now, he will be A+. The return of Cabroken will be definitely real. Chalk, give me B. Scott is relatively useless. Decent lane clear, though I'd rather have Raven. Decent slow, though I could really get any Guardian to do that for me. He doesn't offer much CC. Offers a slow and a silence. Possibly a small knockup. If I wanted a silence, I'd get Isis. Chuck just kind of doesn't fit right now. Definitely needs a buff. I don't know to what. Probably his axe damage. I don't know. He needs to do something better. Chang'e got a decent buff as well, but that'll just keep her in B. She still kind of has the same problem she did before. Where she just doesn't do enough until late game comes, and then she does major damage. But before that, she's kind of, I'm dead, farm me. Chiron is going to be A for now. This could change. This could really easily change. Chiron was one of the more ability-based hunters, and early season, or late season 2, when those were really relevant, you could see Chiron being played almost every game. I'm not sure if he's going to rise. He's definitely not going to drop. but he could rise just because Chiron has decent wave there. Kronos, I'm putting an S. Now, I know, you guys are probably thinking, Lord, man, this guy's an A. This guy's a total A. From what everyone says, he's an A. Well, Mage ADCs are back. Just throwing that out there. Kronos can now play 2 roles, and he plays them relatively well, relatively safely in both. Still does all the high damage. There were no nerfs to Kronos, so he's still going to be really strong. S tier for Kronos. Cupid, gonna go to B+. Ult is strong, still struggles late game, struggles with lane clear, but he has good CC and good damage, and that's all you can really ask from an ability-based hunter, which is strange that Cupid is in B+, because this is an ability-based hunter meta. He just doesn't have the clear to use with his one. And now Fafnir is A. Plain and simple. Attack speed buff is super strong that he has. His dragon form can be super strong if you use it correctly. Decent CC with his one. Decent CC with his disarm. Good escapes. Fafnir, good. Good support if you want to play him. Fenrir or BA, nothing really changed with this god. Lane clear, CC. Kind of a late game, kind of an early game, kind of a mid game. No, doesn't really excel anything. Really balanced as far as that goes. Now Freya. Now she is A right now. Because Mage ADCs are back, that does open the possibility to a Freya. Now because of this possibility of a Freya, the Fafnir Freya lane, where Fafnir can consistently buff Freya with his 2 is really strong. But that's only if you can get the 2 of them together. And it's going to be really hard. But she, by herself, is an A tier. She'll carry you late game. Kind of has some survivability early game. Kind of, with her ult. And whoop thing, I'm a jigger. Yeah, that one. The one where she goes, whoop! Yeah, that one. The Banish, that's what it's called. Geb, A+, shield's good. Knockup's good. Kind of struggles a bit early game. Late game, he's still pretty good. Pretty average. Slightly above average just because of that shield. If they took away that shield, he'd be like down to like D tier. But for just because of that shield, it's like A+. Guan really got a lot stronger with the buff. It's a bit harder to use, but I'm sure once people start figuring it out, he'll be at least A+. He could go up. I don't think he's going to go down. But he does have a lot of strength with the updated passive. I don't want to say new. Hades will be A. I don't know. He seems A to me. He can do well against certain gods and do crap against certain gods. You'll mostly get to see him in a solo lane. You could probably see him do well in solo lane. You might see him in mid lane, but I doubt it. Hebo suffers from what he did before, which is lack of mobility. Still has the strength in his general abilities, but still kind of gets destroyed and camped. Slightly better Anubis. Hell will go up from C to B. The buffs she got were substantial, but with Curse being this readily available, I don't see healers going up past A anytime soon. Most are going to stay below A. Afro's the exception. Hell, relatively viable, can do her solo, you're probably going to die. Can do her mid, you're probably going to die. You just need to know how to play her. Yeah, but late game, she can be super strong. Hercules will go to B+. For me, this god is very lackluster for what solo laners can bring to the party. This god has some wave clear, has a decent ult, weakening's so readily available that his heal can really be screwed over. Odin can really screw this god over. There's just so many easy ways to counter Hercules, especially early game. Hercules just dies consistently if you have a Wheelish or a Bastet or an Arachne. Hercules won't live in the early game, and that's a huge problem for him. So for now, I'm going to keep him at B+. Hui, ability-based hunters back, he's S. Plain and simple. This god will destroy most duo lanes, has good objective secure, can outbox almost every hunter in the game just because of that mark. You're going to want Hui on your team. Hunbats is going to be A+. His ult. It's basically the reason why. Until he hits level 5, he's relatively useless. But his ult as soon as he gets that ult, his mid game and late game just shoot up. Good objective secure, good initiating fights, easy to pick the target you want after you ult. Hunbats is going to be a decent jungler. Isis, for now I'm going to keep her in A+. You could see her rise to S within the coming weeks. But for now, A+. Good objective secure, good lane clear, good CC. Still kind of... Her Spear Ball still chunks late game, she's still chunks late game. She can get picked off decently now though. It is not immune for her to be picked off, but A+, could see her rise to S. Giannis, I am surprised I have not seen more of him, but this god is S. To me, even though I haven't seen a lot of him lately, this god's still S. His ult is relatively game-breaking. I can get my team from one corner of the map to the other. It's basically what Giannis does. I know that's just an exaggeration. But it can be used to rotate your entire team to kill someone, get an objective. His 2 is still a good amount of damage. 3 in his portal allows him to be one of the most annoying gods to chase down, and his 3 is still really good for speed and slow. Jinwei is B. Now, I know this is a bit strange, but her wave clear, in my opinion, is about as bad as Cupid's. Her dash is on a 17-second cooldown, and she has to knock herself up to really be that very effective. Her passive is still great, but she doesn't have the best late game either. She could go to B+, but she definitely needs some buffs. Now Golden Bow's gone. She doesn't have clear. Kali is going to go to A+. And I know what you guys are thinking. You're like, man, this guy's insane. Look at where he's putting everyone. Kali's not that good. She gets really hard destroyed early game, and she won't win. Plain and simple. If you know how to play against a Kali, unless they're like Homofey levels of Kali, you're not going to really have problems with it. Now Capri, okay, this is going to be a shock to you guys. He's S. It's not S+ anymore. He is S. The reason why, CC is really relevant now. Like, beyond relevant. You need gods with super hard CC. Athena Taunt, Bacchus Knockup, Geb Cataclysm, and Capri is like, here's a root! Okay, I got him, guys. You need someone to force beads. Capri's not that guy to force beads. Though he is great early game, he has a good mid game, his revive is stupid, but you need a CC heavy comp if you are playing Capri. You cannot be the Guardian to be like, oh man, I got this CC coming in, because you won't get it. On to Cuckoo. What'd I do? Cuckoo, he is going to B+. Yeah, B+. No. Kook has good wave clear, can cleanse slows, kinda suffers from the same problem Hebo does. Lots of damage, not so much survivability. That's Cuckoo, yeah. Kumba is gonna be A+. This god provides good CC. With Wrath, again, I did mention that you can now dash in and steal, which is why Kumba will be actually good. His ult does a lot of damage, can take someone entirely out of the fight. And again, Mez and a root, and a giant knockup. Like, how much CC do you want with Kumba? And his wave clear is also relatively good. Loki is A. If you know how to play him, you'll do well. If you don't, you won't. God kinda is awkward. Decent wave clear, kinda has to hit 6 or 7 to really be useful, to really get a kill. Really is a high performer until that point. Even so, his best ability about him is split pushing and being able to pick off any single god except for Guardians and possibly solo laners. Medusa will go to A plus for me. Like I said, ability based hunters are kind of coming back in the meta. Kind of puts Medusa up a bit higher. Yay for Medusa. Yay for those who like to play her. Mercury will go to B. No, B plus. With Wind Demon still in the game, he's still relatively strong. People are over exaggerating the Merc's gonna be destroyed now. He's still halfway decent. If you know what you're doing with Merc, you can still play him in this game. You just gotta be a lot more careful, and it's gonna take a slightly longer for you to farm your buffs and farm the players. Neith is an S-God. This god excels in this type of meta where she could literally be anywhere on the map with her ult. At least with presence. She can one-shot the wave, almost at level 6 or 7 after she's gotten Transcendence online. Good escape, has healing. Neith will excel in this meta. You will see a return of Neith, and I do not like that. Personally. I hate Neith. Nem will be A. Relatively balanced. Hog back in the meta kinda helps Nemesis, kinda doesn't. She does have issues with clear, so if you did want to go Wrath on her, you can do that. Other than that, really good against gods with no escapes. Zeus, Ymir, Geb kind of, Ares. Yeah, those guys. Khepri excels with slows and shields. The shield is relatively useful as well. Good jungler. Naja, gonna go to A plus. His damage is really good if he can stay in combat. He's getting a lot of health back. He still has the flat heal on his 2, which is really good for him. Ult can pretty much take any one god out of the fight that you want. Pick a god, okay, it's gone. Late game kinda fails a bit. Early game, 1v1, that's where he's going to excel. Nox is A. Silence and Root, still good combo, still decent wave clear. Ult's relatively, ult is still good. Dash still does crap tons of damage. Just late game, it's really easy to avoid magical damage, and it's really hard to confirm any of Nox damage with all the actives being up, beads, sprint, and if you root someone, you're more than likely going to be engaged on right after, because you also kind of silence yourself. Nuwa, it will be A. Global Ultimate is still really good. Still pretty safe in lane. Decent wave clear early. Good burst damage though. Odin, now I know what you're all saying. This guy just doesn't have an ult anymore. Well, you're wrong. You're totally wrong. Even with the addition of the relic that lets you walk out of Odin ult, that's up 1 in every 3 Odin ults. Now, if you're lucky enough to just avoid it, good for you. But his Bird Bomb now does crap tons of damage if someone dies on the map. He can still chase you. He's going to be more of a jungler than he is a solo lane now. He's going to be more of a jungler than he's going to be a support. But he can still fill 3 roles decently. Nothing's changed about him other than the fact that he does more damage and gets movement speed when someone dies. So this god will move up from A to A+. Hooray for Odin. Osiris, totally A. Nothing too great about him. Can maintain wave relatively well. If you're going against a healer, then he becomes a lot better. If you're going against Hercules, Osiris becomes a lot better. Or Afro or Hell or Chunga or whatever type of, or Chalk. His 100% anti-heal ult, if you can land it, is really good. Decent CC, good with slows. I want to see how Runeforged affects him. I'm not quite sure how that's going to work yet, but I would love to see. Poseidon will also be A. Nothing's changed for Poseidon. I can still Kraken, I can still throw a Whirlpool. You can still Aegis, you can still Beads. It's kind of just always been Poseidon. You're not going to not play him. Raw, It's gonna be A. Good wave clear, good heal. It's more of a. It's not like a heal like Afro or Hell, like they're gonna full heal you. It's more of a here's a utility heal. I have what's that item called? The one that gives you protections. I feel bad. Lotus Crown. I have Lotus Crown. Here you go. Get some protections. Get some slight out of combat healing. I'm going to do decent damage with my one and all. Raw. Raijin is S. This god is not okay by any mean. Combine it with a Sobek Nem, combine it with a Sobek Awilish, does major burst damage. 1's still good, 2 is still one of the best. He has a combat blink for those who like to complain combat blinks. Go and play Raijin. Rama will be A+ as well. Like I said, auto attack hunters were really nerfed, but Rama's never really had a problem staying in meta regardless. Someone will find a way to play them. Astral Arrows are still a really good way of clearing. Ratatoskr is S+. What? What? Why are you hiding? You afraid of your S+? What the? What are you doing? Stay. Good rat. This god has a crazy early game. He can go to any lane and solo any one god. Late game, he still does a good amount. Still has good mobility. Protection shred is really strong. The dash 3 combo will still do a lot of damage. Really good assassin. Will give me one of your first bans. I'm gonna move Athena down to S. I don't think she really belongs in S+. Yeah, that sounds about right for Athena. Raven is going to be S. Yeah, BS. Scott is the old chalk, basically. I'm not going to lose lane. I'm going to win lane, and I still can distract you late. I can distract you late game. I can possibly get a solo kill. 3-1 is going to be one of the best wave clears you ever have. One of the best damage, some of the best CC. Frostbound's really good. Again, I want to see how Runeforge works on this god. Or in general, if it's in the game, like if it's on Ymir, maybe. Oh no, you can't build Runeforge on Ymir. What am I saying? That is a physical item only. But yeah, Raven, good at initiate. 2 still really strong. 3 and 1 still really good. Scylla is S. This god is pretty dumb. The amount of burst damage she has compared to some other gods is really high. They gave her an early game with Power Pot and Soulstone, so she can actually survive, and her ult will one-shot anything late game except for maybe a Guardian or a Solo. Moving on to Sir Cat. She's balanced. You're most likely to see Sir Cat against anyone that heals. Kali as well, so you can ult her while she's in her ult. Excuse me. Sir Cat is also really good against Erlang Shen. That god. The new god that was just released with the puppy dog. Ult him while he ults. You're not getting any of that healing back. You may have the damage reduction, but you're not getting healing, and you are a squishy warrior. You are a nemesis warrior. That's Sir Cat. Will be useful in some situations, and some she won't, but she's overall balanced, and you can really play her everywhere. Or in jungle, but really play her anytime. Scotty will be A. Ability-based hunters, again, kind of back in the meta. Scotty's going to be useful. She can solo down any hunter. If she's in lane with them alone, her 1's going to be good for wave clear. Late game, she can still be a hunter. Sobek will go to A+. His god fills 2 roles as of right now. With Mark getting buffed, he can go solo or support. And he excels in kind of both. He won't really full clear a wave in solo till like 7 or 8. And in support, if you are out of position slightly against Sobek, you will normally end up dying. Sobek, ladies and gentlemen, I can flip you back into my team to kill them. Soul will go up to S. She can now play 2 roles really well. Both hunter and mid. She excels in both. Again, without Golden Bow to really keep Mage Hunters down, Soul and Chronos are back in the meta, at least for Hunter, and they both do well in mid. They really never stop doing well in mid. Wukong will be A. Again, if you want a Raven chalk-like where you're not going to really lose lane, if you want to play safe, and then just be a nuisance late game, Wukong's a guy to go. Just Raven kind of does it better. Susano will be S. I feel they nerfed this god efficiently enough, and people have learned how to play against him. You really won't see any good Susanos, maybe up till Plat 3. Maybe. Most Susanos don't know how to play their kit. If they do, they still do a bunch of burst damage and it's hard to play, but if you pick on them early, i.e. if you get a Isis, if you get a Wheelish, if you get a Thor, these guys will really hammer home against Susano, and it'll be a lot harder for them to play, especially if they're behind. Sylvanas goes to B+. This god needs sprint to survive in a hog meta, or in a wrath meta. His heal is still pretty good, but again, curse is a thing at level 1, and it makes it really hard for Sylvanas to really do much. Matchups not to go Sylvanas against Sobek, this god you will lose. You will die, you'll be first blooded, unless you are relatively skilled and know both Sobek and Sylvanas relatively well. Thanatos, A. Nothing's really changed for him. Still does good burst damage early. Late game is an execute bot. Thor goes to S. CC is good. Damage is good. Ult is still really good. Excels well early. Excels into mid. Is kind of a tank damage hybrid late game, and provides good CC and good initiation. Tier goes to A+. Oh man, 2 of the second columns. You're not going to really lose solo lane with Tier. You can really just constantly heal and clear wave. If you want a more aggressive solo lane, late game at least, you should pick Tier. He has good repositioning ability, and if you land a good Fearless, that can really change the team fight. Ullr is A. Transcendence is back. Yay for Ullr! Does Ullr change any bit in the way that he was supposed to be good? I mean, he was never really good. He was always just kind of like, I'm Ullr! I do things! I throw the axe! Transcendence is my jam. And now that Goldbow's gone, he's like, Transcendence is my jam again. So he's still A. Vamana will go to A+. This god, unless you're going against Odin Osiris, is still going to be relatively good. You're going to want to use him. Good wave clear, good nuisance late game. Weakenings are still going to suck. Pestilences are going to suck. But Vamana is still pretty good. Vulcan with his new passive is still A. It's great, you got a new passive. Or he got a passive to begin with in this case, because his old passive was useless. Was entirely useless. You slowed yourself more than you slowed the other person. Now he has speed. I think. You aren't going to see much of Vulcan. He's relatively balanced. X-Ball, unfortunately, you are not that good anymore. You're going to be B+ for me. God that relies on pure auto attacks, but can use Transcendence, can use it relatively effectively. Late game, he's going to be a boss. Team fights, he's going to be a boss. Early game, you can pick the crap on him, and he will die. I don't even know if that was a sentence, but he's going to die early. He doesn't have the wave clear to really keep up with a Neith, a Chiron, even an Apollo, even a Rama. Chi Blanca is going to struggle in this meta. Xing Chen is A. B+, I lied. His 1 is great, his 2 is still great for CC. You're likely gonna see him, his jump is still good. His ult, you can read the Bible in the time that it takes him to finally complete it. Like, Duke Sloth showed it perfectly. Go watch his video if you haven't seen it. It's really a fun, relaxing video. Um, you're mainly going to see Xing Chen in solo at this point. You're not going to see him much in the support. He doesn't really provide enough CC to be in the support role. In the solo, he does good damage. Can still kill a solo if they're out of position, like Guan. His dash isn't that strong. If Ymir's playing solo, I can throw him under tower, I can throw Hercules, I can throw Osiris. I'm trading ult for ults normally, maybe. Now, on to Ymir. For whatever reason, they decided to buff the big, cuddly, frozen ice giant that is Ymir, and he went from A to A+, at the very least. Could see him rise to S. You really easily could see him rise to S. His damage reduction is really strong. Still provides lots of CC and lots of damage. Good objective secure. Sprint's more useful than Wrath on him. As far as I'm concerned, I seem to think Sprint's more useful than Wrath on Ymir is. That was the sentence, I don't think. Words are tough. But yeah, Ymir, pretty good god now. Zeus, A. Pretty balanced. I do damage. I still have some problems that Cuckoo and Evo has, but I do a lot more burst damage to them, and I do it very safely. Zhong Kui, also A. Kind of the fat man. This isn't really his meta. It really hasn't been. Curse is still viable level 1. Nemesis is more of a thing now than it ever was, or at least now that it was in the past. Yeah, Zhong Kui, not the greatest, but you can definitely make him work in solo or mid. Now, before I end up closing out this video, I want to touch on Erlang Shen. Imagine an Erlang Shen right here on this mouse. If there's a mouse there. I don't know. But if Erlang Shen was on this list, for every reason he's not, it's more than likely going to be A+ to S. He gets blown up very easily. His soloing isn't the greatest. He's still decent. You're not going to find yourself dying constantly in solo. But he's more of an assassin. I'm sure if any of you follow Incon, which I would hope you would, Erlang Shen is way more of an assassin than he is a warrior. This god's burst damage is insane, his auto-attacking is insane, his tankiness and ability to frontline is kinda meh unless you use your ult correctly, and you're only ever going to be using your ult at the start of a fight. You never want to hold it, because if you hold it and you hope to just get a heal off it, you'll probably die, because it's a 4 or 5 second delay before you can actually heal, and that's a really long time. The damage reduction is good, the damage he does is good, the abilities that his dog procs are stupid, and expect to see some Erlang Shen in your casual games. Go ahead and play him if you haven't, he's pretty fun. But I think I'm going to close out this tier list video. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, why yell at me for putting a god in A when they should be in S+, why yell at me for putting a god in B when you think AMC is SS. Do your own thing. Leave a comment. I try to put out as many videos as I can. I try to do support tutorials. I will be doing a new build tutorial coming up. But for now, see you guys later.